Bill.
Thank you, President Mike. On this beautiful spring day, let's sing America the Beautiful. Oh, beautiful for spacious skies. Oh, beautiful for spacious skies, for amber waves of grain, for purple mountains' majesty above the fruited plain. America, America, God shed his grace on thee, and crown thy good with brotherhood from sea to shining sea. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Let us pray. Almighty God, be with the firefighters as they battle our Oklahoma blazes. Be with those who are in threat of danger, not only from the fires, but from illness, hunger, or other distress. We pray for hope in facing challenges that seem relentless. As we gather today to learn more about water wells in Nicaragua and Camp Enterprise for our area teens, we thank you for the dedication of our fellow Rotarians who volunteered their time and talents for these programs. We thank you for all you have given us, and we pray for your continuing encouragement for giving back. Bless this food and this time of fellowship. Amen.
I'd like to welcome everybody to the Rotary Club of Tulsa. We are so glad that you're here today. We're going to introduce our visitors today, and as is our custom, I will introduce the Rotarian host, and if they will stand briefly with your guest so that we may take a peek at it and sit back down. We will hold our applause till the very end. Rotarian Pedro Figueroa has brought with him all the way from, well, he's Jaime Espina, from the past president of the Rotary Club of Nicaraguan, Venezuela. Rotarian Brandy Bynum has as her guest Amanda Sanderson with switchgear. Brian Jackson, we hold our applause, Karen. Rotarian Brian Jackson has as his guest Tim Harris. Matt Davis has as his guest Judge Stephen Clark, a candidate for district judge. Jerry Barrientos has everyone in the 74136 zip code. He has Tomas Barrientos with Tucasa Realty. Ivan Alvarez with Camento Insurance. Brent Head with Guidance Properties. And Sonny Patel with 3S Hospitality. Duff Weddle has as his guests two folks from Bishop Kelly, Jim Franz, the principal, and Deborah Butler, the administrative assistant. Debbie Stump has with her Julie Smith from Mariner Financial, I think, right? Yeah, close, okay. Prima Donna Braddock has brought with her David Davis. Joe Roberts has his wife Rhonda. Tracy Poe has with her Kristen Dodson with Celebrity Attractions. Ed Hicks has brought his wife Rhonda. Mike Homan has brought his wife Ginger. John Stava did not bring his wife, but he did bring Justin Sessions and Kurt Helen, both with Stava. Let's give them all a round of applause. Visiting Rotarians with us today from the Bristow Club, none other than Mickey Moore. From the Stillwater Frontier Club, Boomer Sooner, Terry Ventris. But you're welcome anyway. Broken Arrow Club has given us Lucy Laird. Southside Tulsa has Brent Bruff, and none other than the Southside Club has given us Eric Ortega. Thank you all for being here, and please come back.
Go Pokes. Thank you. Welcome, guests. Thank you for joining us today, particularly on this very special day. If you're looking for a place to rub elbows with the top brass in Tulsa and to work alongside them while you serve your community, Rotary Club of Tulsa is a place for you. And we hope you'll give strong consideration to joining us in our quest to make a difference in the lives of those here in Tulsa and around the world. Okay, this week's meeting sponsor is Inverness Village. Thank you to Inverness Village. I'm not quite sure how to say we want you to do business with your fellow Rotarians on that one, but go ahead. So we'd also like to take this time to thank our Rotarians in service today, those volunteers who help make sure this program runs as smoothly as possible. Thank you, volunteers. Okay, a few announcements before we get into our program here. Some sad news. Terry Paul Miller, the former executive director of the District 6110 office, passed away. And her funeral services will be this weekend up in Kansas. If you're able to attend, you might contact either myself or Tina Miller at the Rotary office, and we'll get you directions to that. Do we have cards on the table? No? Okay. And switching gears, Luann Buehlinger and Del Dreyer were set up out at the table out here to talk to you about giving to the Rotary Club of Tulsa Foundation. And so if you have an opportunity, stop by and visit with them after the meeting. They'll talk to you about all the different options of giving to the Rotary Club of Tulsa Foundation, one of which is a legacy gift, where you can designate in your will a donation to the Rotary Club of Tulsa Foundation, and they'd love to help you out on that. Johan Talman is here somewhere. Where'd you go, Johan? There you are, thanks. We does not have a table set up on the taskme.org. That's that opportunity for us to trade services through donations and benefit Sealy Clinton Elementary. And so we're already getting some really interesting takers on that. So if you have any questions on that, get with Johan. There's going to be more information coming out on the specifics on how this works, and he's going to be sending out some emails, and watch our newsletter. We'll get more information out on that. But people are already starting to grab hold of that, so appreciate that. And then, so Ginger and I were in Copenhagen, Denmark last week. Yeah. All because of Ginger. Ginger had a conference there, and so I got to tag along, and we visited a Rotary Club there, and we exchanged banners. We visited the Copenhagen Morning Club and just had a great time. I would really encourage you, during your travels, here in the States or abroad, make time to visit a Rotary Club. You're going to meet some great people. We met, 20, 30 people. We didn't get to stay for the program because they were giving that in Danish, which is too bad because the topic was intimacy and marriages, and so I wanted to hear it to see if that's something we want to do here, but missed that. We got summarily dismissed and sent along our way, but we met some great people, and we try to do that every time. Ginger's gracious enough to go along with me to these meetings, but we meet some great people, so I would encourage you to do that. Next week's speaker is Tom Coburn, and we have sign-up papers on the table. We're expecting a larger group, so if you could let Tina know if you're going to be bringing a guest so that we can plan meals accordingly for that. We'd appreciate that. And then next week, we are going to be auctioning off 4 OSU, OU Bedlam baseball tickets. Phil Viles. Phil, are you here today? Yep, Phil's in the back. Thanks to Phil. Phil bought 4 tickets, 2 to the Saturday game, which is at 7 p.m., and then 2 to the Sunday. 4 for each. Oh, my goodness. I'm sorry, I missed that. 4 tickets to the Saturday game and 4 tickets to the Sunday game. And we're going to auction those off next week. So save your pennies this week. We're expecting those are going to go for some pretty good money. And what Phil does is he makes the donation to the IBA banquet for those tickets. So any money that you give will be going to the IBA banquet. So thanks again, Phil, for that. And I wanted to just take a moment to recognize the passing of former First Lady Barbara Bush. I think no matter your political persuasion, I think we can all agree she was a pretty genuine, special lady, I know, to her family, and I think to the nation as a whole. So keep the Bushes in your thoughts and prayers, if you will. I've been hearing a lot of great things about her today on the news, so she's going to be missed. Committee meetings. IBA committee is meeting in room 231 today. That program's coming together. We had a tasting event Monday out at the casino. It's going to be a great meal. I mean, the ticket price is way too low for this meal you're going to get. And then you get entertained on top of that. So, and you can buy tickets. Please sign up. We need to sell some tables and get some tickets sold. Got a great lineup of speakers and awardees, so you're not going to want to miss that. Okay, now a side mic announcement from Mr. Matthew Bristow.
Sarge isn't here today, but I'm not actually acting as Sarge. I left that behind a while ago. I've got some slides to bring up to talk through. We've had an 18-month process to look at the dues structure of the club and the meal structure of the club, responding to feedback we've had over time. We had the goal, and involved in this has been this year's budget committee, catering committee that was set up, and the board has approved what I'm presenting today, and I believe long-range planning is meeting on this to review it as well in the next week. The goals we had were to have it allowable for anyone currently, if you join the Rotary Club, you're joining and you're going to be paying dues, and you're also going to be paying meals on a prepaid basis. And the goal is to have anyone where they could join and pay dues only, and then eat the meal with everyone as an option to anyone within the club. What we needed to do to change that, to make that option open, is to have transparency in the pricing, is to make the operating costs of the club equal our dues, and to have the meal prices that we all pay equal the meal expenses that we have as a club. Other things we've been asked to do was to have monthly payment options by credit card or ACH direct from your account to be able to pay dues and meals, which we're going to do, and also to have a credit card fee offset so that the club isn't burdened with credit card processing fees. So those are some goals we have. Things that we had heard, people had been saying over the years as meal prices increase, we're paying too much for meals. A challenge we had with the structure of the club was that to cover some of the operating expense increases, meal prices had been raised to cover that. So members had been paying up $13 a meal for an actual expense for the food that was $9.50 per member, which caused some friction within some people looking at that. And we hadn't had a dues increase, even though expenses have been rising for the last 11 years. People had also asked us about better quality food. So to do that, an outside caterer has been brought in, and all the feedback I've had is that the catering is now a much better quality. People are happier with the meal. The consequence of that is that the expense of every meal that we have has risen to $13 a plate from $9.50 a plate. So when you figure out that we have an increased expense there, the way to actually address that and mitigate some of that expense was to lower the minimum guaranteed head count that we had down so that our monthly burden was less. I'm getting in the weeds, but we've been working on it. So the results now, to get the real cost of everyone paying for a meal, we've taken the blended average attendance of everyone's attendance in the club. So we don't assume that if you're prepaying for meals that you're going to be here for 50 meals. For 50 weeks of the year that we have a Rotary meeting. So we've taken the blended average attendance to what's worked out to be around $9.50 per meal that you will pay if you're prepaying for your meals. If you want to pay dues only, you will pay the actual cost of the meal whenever you choose to come and have a meal. You will also, as of July 1, if this passes, be able to show up, sit wherever you would like to sit, and not actually eat a meal and not incur the expense of that. to get this transparency, what we needed to do is to have every member of the club contributing equally to the operating expense of the club. Because where we had the imbalance, which I'll show you in a minute, anyone who was prepaying meals was actually paying an increased burden of the operating expenses. And there's a chart now in a second. What's going to happen is your default option, if this passes, is you will be prepaying for both. Unless you are already dues only, your default option will be paying your dues in advance and paying for your meals in advance with the new structure. But you can opt out of that and choose to be dues only in November or in June each year, which is 1 month prior to the billing cycle, so that the office can know to send you out an invoice and have a receivable for either dues only or dues and meals. The climate that we've had over the last 11 years without having a dues increase is that the fixed costs that we have as a club, district dues have gone up, Rotary International dues, all these other expenses have continued to go up, and we haven't raised our dues. We have done significant cuts to the budget in the last few years. The biggest line item was staff costs. Staff costs compared to 18 months ago, we've saved $10,500 with our current staff setup in the office, and there are an additional $10,000 of other expense cuts that we've implemented and have in the budget for next year. We also have a reduced membership number from where we were 5 or 6 years ago, which means reduced contributions to the operating budget, so we needed to consider that. Now I'm going to show you 2 slides. This first slide is what we currently have in dues costs and meal costs, so I'm going to use this one as an example. So currently, if you, the left-hand column with the 1,150, that is the dues plus meals on an annualized basis. So anyone who is prepaying for everything is currently paying $1,150 a year. If you're currently paying dues only, you're paying $474 a year. And that was the challenge that we had, is anyone who's paying that isn't covering the proportional share of the operating budget of the club. So what we're proposing to move to is one where we have done the budget, where we figured out all of the operating expenses of the club, including being able to be here today, and then as in having the facility of the room and everything else that is set up, and then separated out the cost of the meals to have the catering here. So what we have now is to actually run and operate the club, there's a cost per member of $710 a year. In addition to that, we've now got, so if you look at the previous slide where you were previously paying $237 every 6 months for dues, it's now going to be $355, which is an increase of $118. But where you were previously paying $338 for meals, that's been reduced by $100 to $237, which is the actual expense that the club have of covering meals. So if you are prepaying for everything currently as is, we're working on the assumption that 60% of the club are going to continue prepaying for everything, because that's what the survey results we got a year ago. We didn't just pick that number, but that's the format in the budget. So the implications, if you're prepaying everything, is a minor dues and meals increase of $35 a year. The challenge, but what comes with creating the transparency of the new budget, is for dues only. For any new members joining, they're going to be presented with 2 options. One is paying dues only of $710 a year, which we think will be attractive for new members wanting to join, and then they have the option of paying the additional $237 if they want all their meals paid for. We recognize it's a challenge for people who are currently paying dues only on a waiver, but to correct the issues that have occurred within the budget, we wanted to go to a new version where dues equals operating costs, meals equals meal costs, and have total transparency. The process for this, I can imagine that there are 100 questions in the room right now. This has been 18 months to get to this point. You've got my email address, embrister@clearidgecapital.com. You have my cell phone up there. You can find all my info in DACDB. My plan over the next 2 weeks is to consolidate all of the questions that come to me and organize them into relevant sections. 2 weeks from now, I'm going to address the questions that have come up and go through them one by one, and then we're going to have a vote, because this has to be passed by a majority of the club. So there would be a vote May 2nd where I'll come up, answer all the questions that I can. You can come see me afterwards as well if you want to. So Wednesday, May 2nd will be the vote on this, and Monday, May 14th will be the next board meeting, and that is where the results would be presented to the board for final approval for next year.
Whew. Yes. So many thanks to Matthew and Jerry. Matthew, bless his heart, has been working on this. Matthew and I started working on this probably a year and a half ago now.
Yep.
At least, maybe 2 years ago.
Yep.
And so this has been vetted and vetted and vetted and vetted. And as Matthew said, we've cut a ton of expenses out of the operations to get to this. And I appreciate everything that you and Jerry and everyone else concerned have done to get this right for the club members and for the explanation. I appreciate that.
Sure.
So now, we'd love to hear about your business. Since you're up here, we'll let you do a vocational minute. How's that?
So I managed to get my vocational minute on the same day that I discussed a dues increase, which is interesting. So if you would like to do business with your fellow Rotarian, yeah, I can only imagine how this is going to go. So for people who don't know me as anything other than Sarge, my firm is Clearidge. It's an investment banking partnership. We founded the company in 2008, myself and my partner, Bruce Jones. We're located at 5th and Boston in the Phil Tower. In short, we sell companies, mid-sized private companies. Revenue ranges from 10 million in revenue on an annual basis to 100 million in revenue. We do all the due diligence on acquisitions, both for people buying and selling private companies. We actually do all of that in-house, and if we're selling a company, we do all that in-house prior to ever going to market. I've worked with many people in this room. Our firm has with clients who are business owners, with attorneys, bankers, tax advisors who are here. Typical client company would be a mature industrial company. Sectors that we've done a lot of work in: aerospace, energy services, engineering, manufacturing, petrochemicals, healthcare, and business services. If you want to talk about evaluation of your company, planning for a future sale of your company, I would love to talk to you. Website, clearidgecapital.com. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Matthew. Appreciate it. So many interesting things that Rotarians do in life. Okay, now getting on to our program. So Camp Enterprise and the Nicaragua Water Well Project are going to share our program today. And what we're going to do is hear about what makes Rotary so special, and that is service to youth in providing drinkable, potable water to people in need in Nicaragua. So we're going to begin our program with the Water Well program. And at this time, I'd like to ask Judge Peterson and Ben Wyndham, the International Project's co-chairman, to please stand and be recognized for their 16-year commitment to the Water Well program. Ben, Judge. Those two have been putting in tons of hours every year for 16 years to make sure this program is successful, and we appreciate you. I'd also like to ask the committee members and those who have traveled to Nicaragua to please stand so that we can recognize you. So any committee members, anyone that's made the trip? Okay, so now to tell you more about the program is Karen Keith. Karen Keith is past president of our club. She's Tulsa County Commissioner, and this year she's serving the club as the board chair. Karen, it's all yours.
Thank you. So I'm delighted to get to share this story. I only wish that I had personal experience, because these folks that have gone are our soldiers. So in this room today are many successful self-made business people. And using our talents, our city has flourished because of individual commitments to quality of life. Rotarians working together listen for needs, cultivate actions, and foster good. The Rotary Club of Tulsa also has self-made diplomats. Even though this isn't a capital city or a political hub, our diplomats have literally turned their ears to the ground internationally. And we've all seen these shiny Rotary literature with compelling color photos. Domestic and international goals work simultaneously, neither detracting from the other. One area of focus is water, good quality, clean water, and those who lack access to it. Tulsa Rotarians encountered people without the most crucial sustaining life source, clean water, and in the developing country of Nicaragua. And you've heard the term water wells, and know a delegation goes from Tulsa to Nicaragua every year. They go to these remote, impoverished areas of the countryside where there is virtually no infrastructure and no reasonable access to clean water. In villages, barrios, and distant rural villages under the shadow of dormant volcanoes, few wells existed before Rotary came to the rescue. Today, I'm here to challenge you with the nitty-gritty of the story, and hopefully you will never forget it. The Nicaraguans' crying need for water in their everyday lives struck a chord with Rotarian Bob Scroggs, and Judge David Peterson jumped in with both feet. So moved by Nicaragua's living circumstances and parched struggle, they harnessed this club's talent and resources to step in and help. Ben Wyndham joined in, and driller Mickey Moore would move lock, stock, and rig to man the projects. Other members of this club followed and have also committed large chunks of their lives to live and breathe solutions to the suffering. The rescue that they organized is unprecedented, and leadership made the difference. That leadership inspired the help of a dozen other clubs in District 6110 and beyond. And imagine if you had to carry water and then start a wood fire to boil it for drinking, cooking, and washing. This is a way of life for many Nicaraguans. No faucet, no sink, no plumbing. It is almost beyond our comprehension. Villagers manage, living at standards many decades behind our poorest regions. They do without. Or they travel to distant water sources with salvaged buckets and random containers for collecting water. The few existing wells before Rotary stepped in were miles away. And today, rural women and children still trudge miles in searing heat across dirt paths to faraway clean water sources. Then they suffer to get the water home. The lucky ones have a donkey or cart, and this often takes place twice a day. So the children miss a lot of school. That's why more wells are needed. Another reason is that for some, the only accessible water is a dirty river. Not only do they boil it for consumption, but they haul heavy laundry there for washing. Everyday life requires significant stamina and strength in rural Nicaragua. Did you know that a gallon of water weighs 8.3 pounds? Ask our fellow Rotarian Jerry Barrientos what it feels like to balance a 40-pound bucket of water on your head while crossing fields and rough terrain. She lugged one to a cobbled-together dwelling of black plastic, cardboard, tin, and scavenged wood. And for the grateful, smiling recipients, that hut is their home. The initial team from our club, I'll call them the first generation of water well visionaries, realized the kind of commitment needed for this first step to make clean water accessible. No government had been able to do it. Remember that each Rotarian has a field of expertise. And together that first team harnessed every ounce of knowledge, every friendship and connection built from membership in this club and from their successful careers. They combined forces and hit the ground running to recruit drillers, equipment specialists, technicians, think compressors and pumps, rigs and pipe. It was all here in Tulsa in abundance, but sorely needed in Nicaragua. Funding came from an innovative idea for generating contributions. The Own a Well initiative encouraged Rotarians to donate in the name of a designated honoree. In exchange for their investment, personalized certificates marked the spot where the new well was drilled. But getting the heavy drilling equipment and materials to Nicaragua was another piece of the puzzle. The project reached across the borders of several nations with know-how. Our Rotary Club bought a 45-foot cargo trailer to ship materials out of Gulfport, Mississippi. Imagine the customs requirements alone. This was not just a project. And it was far more than a rescue. It was and is an operation the size of a small government. Thousands of hours were donated, and soon our members worked in tandem with the Nicaraguan Rotary Club in Leon. Years of cooperation have followed, including training for local drilling crews. The partnership is still going strong for new wells and for logistically challenging repairs to broken wells. A life-giving well isn't always a showplace, but it is a source of hope. After this year's operation took root, seedling branches of the water wells effort spread out in every direction. Each well brought development, modernity, and opportunity to its rustic location. That's another reason the operation must continue. Its reach, its unexpected reach, ended up providing far more than a drink of water, clean clothes, an actual bath, and a grit-free meal. From our work came a local sense of function and progress. And before long, other kinds of donated equipment restored the capability and responsiveness of a hospital. Wheelchairs met the needs of abandoned, disabled children at an impoverished orphanage. Our new yearlings may not know that's why our club members volunteer at MSNI. We load donated medical equipment and supplies for shipment abroad. There were even more improvements. Because of water wells, the school was upgraded, so was the convent. New construction sprang up nearby. Dirt floors began to disappear, and one by one, actual houses with cinder block foundations replaced ramshackle huts. And again, the people have shown such appreciation, delight, and joy. They are grateful for things that we take for granted. If not a house yet, then a cool drink of water from a new well, a splash of water on a sunburned face. Our Rotary emblem, the wheel, perfectly mirrors our Nicaraguan water wells commitment. The spokes represent the advancement I just described, and each water well has become the strong hub, stabilizing each rural community where it's located. And each water well drives away the isolation of poverty. Each water well promotes a livelier learning environment. Each water well dispels misery. Tomorrow morning, as you shower for an average of 8 minutes using up to 17 gallons of water, remember the Nicaraguans who need a water well for life and health. A village resident told Mike Homan he only had 1 cup of water daily for a sponge bath. And as you picture that, it's easy to see why the Rotary Club of Tulsa needs you to help continue this operation. So join in this effort for meaningful involvement that will have lasting, lifelong impact. Our water wells operation is a hands-on effort that has changed far more than the lives of the Nicaraguans. It has also changed for good every Rotarian who has participated. So, please stand again. If you have gone to Nicaragua with our international committee, please stand and let's give them a big round of thank you. Yay, Mickey. I'm also passing along thanks of the Water Wells Visionaries for your generous donations. They appreciate the trip. They appreciate the trip participants who went to see for themselves the miracles that clean water has nourished. And the International Committee invites every Rotarian here to join forces with this work that is so worthy of your time and talents. But the most earnest, heart-rending thank yous to the Rotary Club of Tulsa come from the Nicaraguans in small, distant, dry places for the unprecedented number of these 510 wells that changed their lives.
Thank you, Karen. As she was reading that, I was remembering my visit to Nicaragua last year and the impact that it had on my life. And so I would encourage you to get with Judge Peterson as soon as possible, because there's a limited number of spaces just because of logistics on who can go. This is a trip that really will change your life. I mean, to meet people who are just so grateful for water. They don't ask for anything more. They don't ask for money. They don't ask for anything, food or anything. Just water. That's all they need. And to witness that and to see the impact that this club is having that far away is so powerful. And so thank you to all those that are on the committee. Thank you to those that have traveled down there, and thank you to those who have donated, either through Own a Well or through the Rotary Club Tulsa Foundation, to keep this program going. We've got over 500 wells now, but we have a lot more to drill, so we've got a lot of work left to do. So thank you very much to that committee. So now I want to bring to the podium Dana Burks and Brandy Bynum, and we're going to switch gears and talk about our Camp Enterprise program.
There you go. Well, I'm Brandy Bynum. This is Dana Burks, and we were very, very fortunate to get to be this year's co-chairs for Camp Enterprise. For those of you who don't know, Camp Enterprise is a program that has been funded by the Tulsa Rotary Foundation and other generous sponsors for more than 4 decades. It's a 4-day retreat that has introduced generations of high school juniors to the free enterprise system and principles of business. Our theme this year was Connect. Connect to your strengths, connect to your community, and connect to your core values to connect to success. And connect they did. Camp Enterprise helped them connect with their peers from all around this region and from around the world, creating friendships that can last a lifetime. Our icebreaker, team builder, facilitator is actually a Camp Enterprise graduate, Jeff Wilkie. He attended Camp Enterprise in 1987 and is still very best friends with one of his fellow campers. So those relationships really do last a lifetime. The camp centers on a business simulation program called Titan, and the students compete in teams operating as businesses and appoint a president within their team to lead them. The teams compete for several rounds over the course of the 4 days. This part of the program was led by Rotary Club members Harvey Rowe, with support from Eric Ortega and Catherine DeCamp. In between rounds of Titan, there were speakers on relevant topics, team building exercises, and of course, lots of fun activities. Rotarians, community members, and enterprise graduates generously donated their dollars, their resources, and their valuable time to prepare and execute this program. This year's camp success is truly a testament to their dedication to our club's motto, service above self. But instead of me trying to tell you more about Camp Enterprise, allow us to show you. We're very fortunate to have the president of the winning team, Team Reverie, Jenny Lampkin, here with us today. Congratulations on leading the winning team.
Thank you.
So, what was your strategy for winning?
Mainly our strategy was just working as a team. We had a lot of smart people in our team. I mean, there was a picture of two guys working really hard over some stuff, and those two guys were the biggest help to our team. They were amazing.
What would you say to other students who are considering attending Camp Enterprise in the future?
I would say that you could really learn a lot from it, from a business perspective and just a social perspective, making friends and how you have to work together as a team in the business world and just in life.
What would be your largest takeaway? What would you say is the biggest thing you took away from your experience at Camp Enterprise?
Probably just the working as a team, like I said, that you can have great ideas and you can try to do things on your own, but they always work the best when you have a support system and people to help you.
Wonderful. Well, thank you for joining us today, and thank you. Congratulations again
Yes, thank
on
you,
being
guys.
the winner.
Okay. So, Camp Enterprise would not be possible without the commitment and interest of those who participated. And we do have a lot of campers here today, which is so fun. So, what I'd like you to do is please stand when you're called and remain standing, and will you please hold your applause until we get through this group. So, the first, and I see a lot of those beautiful faces here, if you're a camper, would you please stand up?
You can't help it.
I know we can't help clapping with the students. We do have a few counselors. The counselors actually nominate the students for attendance. So if you were a camp counselor, would you please stand up? School counselors, I'm sorry, guys. Just wanted to see if you were paying attention. And you did well, you passed the test. Okay. Stay standing if you are a family member who sent your loved one to camp this year. We'd like to recognize you as well for being here. Thank you. You may now sit down. Thank you so much. We had a great experience with your kids and really appreciate you trusting them with us. So school counselors and campers, we hope you stay engaged with Rotary. Campers, remember, you can continue with Rotary through high school with Interact. And if you're interested in learning how, check with one of us or Robert Jones, and we hope we will pass along a word of value to you about attending Camp Enterprise for juniors that you know coming up next year. So we have another important group to recognize because without them, Camp Enterprise would not have been possible. Again, will you please stand and remain standing, and once again, will you hold your applause till we get through the group. So our generous sponsors you saw in the presentation that underwrote the program. This is me standing. Is anybody else? We had other sponsors here, I know. The leadership of Foundation, including Duff, Sandy, Jerry, Scott, Catherine, and other Rotarian leaders, including President Homan, who stepped in to help us overcome some initial financial burdens we placed. It was a big deal, and it was really heartening to have everybody step in and help us overcome that. The volunteers who either served at Camp Enterprise Committee, they conducted school outreach. Some people sat on buses on the way to Tahlequah and back with kids, served as counselors, and it was cold. That was the weekend it snowed.
And it snowed, yes.
Yeah.
Rained and snowed.
And speakers, there's some speakers here, and any others who helped with the logistics. Would you please stand? People who participated in the camp. Look, there's a lot of people. And I'd like to make a special thanks to Harvey Rowe. He runs the Titan program. Where is Harvey?
Woo! He's right there.
Stand up, Harvey. The kids always love him, and he does a great job and teaches them so much important information about our free enterprise system and about business. He's supported by Catherine DeCamp, who also does a great job, and for the record, a really good imitation of a chicken. And Eric Ortega back there, who is quiet, but he does the AV, and that is not an insignificant job. He's one of those people like Tim Knoll in the background, service above self, and just kind of backs everybody up quietly. So those are very good people to have on your team. I'd also like to do a shout out to Doug Padgett, who has the often thankless job of being the registrar, and this is a very big deal. And so I don't know if Doug's here today. I know he's been working on some personal things, but I'll tell you, if you see Doug, thank him, because he does, hug him, thank him. He does a lot of heavy lifting to make this happen. Brian Bovard helped with the promotions, including getting the steaks donated from Texas Roadhouse, which were a big hit. And of course, we've mentioned Tim Knoll. So Tim moves snacks from location to location, and that keeps the kids' attention, and he just does it quietly. And if we had any facilities needs or anything, it's like Tim's right there. I mean, he was always handing me cookies. I think I gained 12 pounds.
Oh,
And then he did the grill. Yeah, he did the grillers too. So thank you, and to his wife who served as a counselor. And I'd like to also say a big shout out to Jan Lobb, because she saved our bacon about 15 times because we didn't know what we didn't know, and she made sure that these newbies just didn't screw something up big time. We did a few little things, but not super big.
No one died. No one broke anything.
No.
No one got pregnant. And
Yeah.
it was a success all around. And they learned some stuff.
Yeah.
So it was an overall pretty
The kids were wonderful this year. So, but Jan really helped keep us on track, and I'm very grateful for that. So the good news on this is, we got a quick little video after this, is that we do have Karen McCannell and Robert Jones are going to be chairing next year's event, so it's in extraordinarily good hands. So Robert and Karen, if you haven't had a chance to be in this program, this is a great way to really deeply get to know your fellow Rotarians. You know, you're dealing with last minute crises here. You know, here's my new best buddy, right? We're good friends. Yeah, we're in love. So there's that. But it is a wonderful way to get to know people a little bit more personally and deeply in the club, and just to have a great time with a bunch of really smart kids. Very heartening to know that our world's going to be in a really good place. This generation is pretty amazing. So with that, we'll close it out. If we could run that video.
Hi, I'm Xavier. I'm from South Korea. I'm going to Hustle Academy in Arkansas, and Camp Enterprise changed my life. Changes my life.
I'm Evie. I go to Jeeps High School, and I learned pretty much that sometimes listening is more important than talking. I'm Diletta. I go to Stillwater High School. I'm from Italy, and I learned that sometimes silence speaks more than a lot of words.
My name is Jake Savage. I'm from Bixby High School, and I learned that business is the backbone.
I'm Cade. I'm from Bixby High School, and I learned to not let later become never.
I'm Tyler. I'm from Bixby High School, and I've met some amazing friends here at Camp Enterprise.
I'm Robert. I'm from Will Rogers High School, and I learned that not only can snow and oil up the wall,
It was so windy. Yeah, it was so cold. And so
Thank you.
Thank you, Dana. Thank you, Brandy. Thank you, committee. Again, this is another great program. If you've got some time next year to go out and spend with these students and see what they're doing out there and you'll be amazed. You'll be amazed. Hannibal and I had an opportunity to go out there and speak, and I've been out there before, and I always go out there expecting to be amazed. But if you'll read this week's newsletter, you'll see I met 2 heroes this year, and one of them is here. Sammy, stand up. Sammy's one of my heroes here. Sammy conquered a fear. She went down the zip line, and I went down the zip line for the first time too. That's a scary thing to do. It's really high in the air, and you gotta trust. And Sammy did that with her friend, supporting her, and I'm just so proud of her. But that's what this camp is about: is these students pushing themselves, pushing their safe envelope, if you will, meeting new kids and learning things about the free enterprise system in Rotary. So thank you, committee. Okay, upcoming programs. Next week, again, is Tom Coburn, former U.S. Senator. He's going to talk to us about a divided country and how to fix it, a book he recently wrote. Tom has always been known as a fierce budget watchdog. And last December, he founded Pursuit, an organization formed to help young Americans understand and take active ownership in discussions on the national debt, unfunded liabilities, and federal program management. So next week, he's going to talk to us about our nation's current state of affairs and offer his thoughts on how he thinks we can fix our divided nation. So that should be interesting. And the week after that, on May 2nd, we have a very special speaker, Shannon Sedgwick Davis. Shannon is the CEO of the Bridgeway Foundation, which is a charitable giving arm of the Bridgeway Capital Management Group of Houston. Shannon is an attorney and has a passion for social justice and international human rights. She's a well-known strategist engaged in promoting peace and ending human atrocities across our globe. She serves on the advisory board of the Elders, which is a nonprofit founded by Nelson Mandela, Desmond Tutu, Kofi Annan, and Jimmy Carter to bring peace to places of violence. So she's going to be here to share her thoughts on that, so we appreciate that. So we're a little bit over. I apologize for that, but these are 2 programs that we need to know about, and so I appreciate both programs being presented today. I encourage you to go out, tell your Rotary story, tell people about Rotary, and don't forget to bring a friend to Rotary next week. We are dismissed.